The man who vanished into thin air, the unsolved mystery of D.B. Cooper. This is the story of a mysterious hijacker who disappeared into the skies and was never seen again. This is the story of D.B. Cooper. November 24, 1971. A seemingly ordinary day in America. People were busy preparing for Thanksgiving. But on this day, an event took place that changed the history of American aviation. At Portland, Oregon's airport, a man quietly bought a ticket for Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305. He was dressed in an ordinary black suit, white shirt, black tie, and carried a small briefcase. He smoked cigarettes, took his boarding pass, and entered the plane. The name on the ticket was Dan Cooper. But a simple journalistic mistake would forever make him D.B. Cooper. The flight was a Boeing 727 with only 36 passengers and 6 crew members. Its route was from Portland to Seattle, a short 30-minute journey. Passengers settled in, some reading books, some looking out of the window, others humming quietly. None of them knew that history's most daring and mysterious hijacking was about to take place on this short flight. After sitting in seat 18C, Dan Cooper handed a small folded note to flight attendant Florence Schaffner. At first, she thought it was just a man slipping his phone number, so she placed it in her pocket without looking. But Cooper leaned in and whispered, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." Florence opened the note. It read, "I have a bomb in my briefcase. I want you to sit beside me." She froze in terror. Cooper opened his case slightly and revealed wires and red sticks inside. Real or fake, the sight was terrifying enough to convince her it was no bluff. Cooper then laid out his demands: $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, 2 main and 2 reserve, and when the plane landed in Seattle, a fuel truck should be ready to refuel the jet. He warned that if his demands were not met, he would blow up the plane. The pilot immediately contacted air traffic control. FBI and airport security scrambled into action. The decision was made to comply fully with Cooper's demands, because dozens of innocent lives were at stake. The ransom was prepared from a local bank, $200,000, a massive amount for that era. 4 hours, tension filled the cabin. The plane finally landed in Seattle, yet the passengers were shocked to see nothing unusual. There was no screaming, no panic. The captain reassured them everything was under control. Only then did Cooper allow all 36 passengers to leave. He kept 4 crew members with him. The money and parachutes were delivered to the plane. Cooper calmly checked everything. He then instructed the pilots to take off again, this time bound for Mexico City. But he gave very specific orders. The plane must fly no higher than 10,000 feet, at minimum speed, with landing gear partially down, and the cabin depressurized. These details revealed one thing: Cooper had expert knowledge of flying and parachuting. Around 8 p.m., while the jet flew over the dense forests of Washington state in stormy weather, Cooper moved to the rear. He lowered the aft stairway of the Boeing 727. In the middle of pouring rain, harsh winds, and total darkness, he jumped. Carrying the ransom, parachute strapped on, he disappeared into the night sky. The crew, terrified but unharmed, landed the plane later in Reno, Nevada. Cooper was gone. All that remained was a black tie and a few fingerprints. Thus began the largest manhunt in U.S. history, the hunt for D.B. Cooper. Thousands of FBI agents, soldiers, helicopters, and police combed the forests of Oregon and Washington. Not a trace of Cooper, parachute, or the money was found. The case exploded in the media. Every major newspaper and TV channel covered it. Walter Cronkite of CBS, John Chancellor of NBC, and anchors at ABC all called it America's strangest hijacking. And it was here that a reporter's mistake immortalized Dan Cooper as D.B. Cooper. Years passed, but the riddle remained. In 1980, a young boy discovered $5,800 buried in sand along the Columbia River. The serial numbers matched the ransom money. But the rest of the cash was never recovered. Theories flourished, but the FBI eventually focused on suspects. Some of them became legends themselves. A former Green Beret, helicopter pilot, and Vietnam veteran. In April 1972, only 5 months after Cooper's hijacking, McCoy hijacked another Boeing 727 in almost the exact same way. He demanded $500,000 and parachutes, jumped from the rear stairs, and vanished into the night. Unlike Cooper, McCoy was caught 2 days later, thanks to fingerprints and evidence in his house. Many FBI agents believed McCoy was D.B. Cooper himself, but others pointed out differences. McCoy was much younger than Cooper's description, and on the night of Cooper's jump, McCoy was proven to be home with his family in Utah. McCoy later escaped from prison but was killed in a shootout with the FBI in 1974. Kenneth Christensen. A quiet, reserved man who had worked as a flight attendant and mechanic for Northwest Orient Airlines, the same airline Cooper hijacked. He knew the Boeing 727 inside out. Years later, a woman claimed on her deathbed that her uncle Christensen had confessed to being Cooper. He had suddenly come into money after 1971, bought land and gold, and even left clues in conversation. But when the FBI investigated, they found no hard evidence. Christensen's DNA and fingerprints did not match. Dwayne Weber. On his deathbed in 1995, Weber allegedly told his wife, "I am Dan Cooper." Shocked, she recalled strange things about him: nightmares of leaving fingerprints on a plane, a knee injury like Cooper might have suffered, and hidden wads of cash. Weber also had a criminal past. But the FBI later said his DNA did not match evidence from Cooper's tie. William Gossett. A former military man, survival expert, and paratrooper. Gossett became obsessed with the Cooper case and allegedly confessed to his sons that he was the hijacker. He even showed them old parachutes. He resembled the composite sketch and had the right training. But again, no hard proof ever emerged. Gossett died in 2003, leaving only rumors. Robert Rackstraw, a Vietnam veteran with parachute skills, repeatedly suspected, but denied involvement until his death in 2019. Lynn Doyle Cooper, a young man obsessed with comic books and military gear, accused by his niece, but dismissed due to lack of evidence. Barbara Dayton, a transgender woman and recreational pilot who once confessed she disguised herself as a man to commit the hijacking, only to later retract the claim. The list of suspects stretched into hundreds, but none could be definitively proven to be Cooper. In the decades that followed, the mystery only deepened. Books like D.B. Cooper, What Really Happened and Skyjacker, The Hunt for D.B. Cooper explored theories. Documentaries aired on History Channel, Netflix, and Discovery, each revisiting suspects and evidence. Hollywood films drew inspiration from the legend. Yet, despite thousands of leads, countless hours of investigation, and more than 800 suspects, the FBI could never close the case. In 2016, they finally announced the official investigation was suspended, declaring no further resources would be dedicated. But for the public, the mystery never died. Some believe Cooper perished that night, swallowed by the storm and forests. Others are convinced he landed safely, blending into society with a new identity. A folk hero to some, a criminal mastermind to others, D.B. Cooper remains one of the greatest enigmas of modern history. Even today, whenever people glance at the night sky over the Pacific Northwest, they wonder, did he die in the cold wilderness, or did he walk away free, a man who pulled off the perfect crime? The truth vanished with him on that stormy night in 1971. And perhaps, it will remain unsolved forever.